Crypto presents exciting new opportunities for the investment-minded, but it's also volatile and accelerating in complexity. That's why we created Token Metrics, an intelligent crypto platform backed by an industry-leading combination of data, AI, and media that feeds optimized portfolios to crypto investors. Featuring Token Metrics ratings to help you find the best investment opportunities in real time, an indices page that showcases various model portfolios, and deep insights into price predictions and technical analysis. A dedicated NFT dashboard that evaluates NFT collections and assets by our machine learning algorithm to find the most profitable and secure NFTs across all available blockchains. Plus, with access to Token Metrics TV, monitor 24/7 exclusive crypto news and analysis. Whether you're a first-time trader or a seasoned crypto investor, you can stay informed and in control, backed by your all-in-one crypto companion, Token Metrics. Take control.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Token Metrics Live. I'm your host, Ian Bellina, founder and CEO of Token Metrics, also general partner at Token Metrics Ventures. And man, what a week we've had here in crypto. What a week. Or as we like to say,
we just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
Congratulations to anybody out there who's making money on this billion-dollar airdrops. I mean, obviously in crypto, this is what it's about, making money, generational wealth. And sometimes it has to start with the airdrops, right? So congrats, pat yourself on the back if you're making money with the airdrops. So stay tuned. On today's show, we'll be covering the following. We have a promo for Token Metrics that gets you 30% off. Then we've also launched a new customizable ratings page. And then I'll cover and talk about my analysis on Arbitrum Airdrop. This is the same analysis I've basically kind of covered with our customers on the webinar and the Astrobot Discord alpha call, which happens every week. But basically, we called the price almost perfectly, right? Basically, I said max was like $1.50, and the cheapest was basically 30 cents. And unfortunately, if anybody who bought above that, that's unfortunate. Apologies to you, but that's why sometimes it pays to have data-driven research to help you know how to profit from even airdrops. Then we'll talk about what we think are the next big billion-dollar airdrops, and then we'll cover our top 5 tokens for the next week for you to trade. All right. With that being said, let's see who's on the stream. All right. What's up, AZ? Good to have you here. What's up, Wak? Analyst Shaq, we got Shaq in the house. What's up, True African? Let's go. Moises, what's up? Josh, Red for Danger. Red for Danger says almost 7 years. Wow, yeah, it's been a long time in crypto. We've been here, still doing research, still covering the space. Thoughts on Space ID? We've been researching it, but I don't think there's any code available for us to do any kind of technical review on it. But I think one of our analysts is actually looking into that. Yes, we're in the building. Greetings from Sao Paulo, says Mario. All right. Well, all right, so let's start things off. For those who don't know, this is the Token Metrics live stream. You can learn more about Token Metrics by going to tokenmetrics.com. I have this up here on my screen, right? Basically, it's an AI-driven. We've been doing AI for crypto prior to AI being a big thing. But basically, it's an AI and analytics-driven platform that helps you become a smarter investor, right? But the main thing I want to cover before we start is our promo. If you go to tokenmetrics.com and sign up for a free trial, 1 week free trial, and use the code SPRING30, this gets you 30% off of Token Metrics. So with the markets getting better, if anybody out there who's not yet a customer and wants to try out the platform and even get this at a discount, now's the time, right? So basically get 30% off all Token Metrics plans. Just use the coupon code SPRING30, SPRING30 to get 30% off. All right, so the next thing I want to cover is the new ratings page. All right, so what exactly is that? So for those of you who are customers, when you log into Token Metrics, you notice that we've made new updates to the ratings page. So we still have the trader grade and the investor grade. This is basically our AI-driven grade that looks at different data points, market data, quantitative data, on-chain data, sentiment data, all these fundamentals, developer activity and audits, and creates an AI grade that tells you how bullish and bearish we are on a scale of 0 to 100%, for both short-term traders and long-term investors. Very, very exciting stuff. But now you can customize this ratings page and basically add any data point, well, most of the data points available on the platform directly on this page. All right, so as I get this to load, so basically this is what I've done, right? So I've added both investor grade and investor grade percentage change in the last 7 days, and trader grade percentage change, plus FDV, and one of my favorite metrics, Sortino ratio. So all on the same screen. So I can go through here and basically create my own token screener to find value for either investing or trading, right? So one possible way to leverage this could be, so let's say I only want to look at projects that have a 70% investor grade or higher. So let me just add this filter here. And a trader grade 70% or higher. So quickly going to go through that. And then let me also add a trading signal. I only want to look at tokens that are bullish in terms of technical analysis. So basically, we're looking at good trading signals and decent fundamentals. And basically, this is the list, right? So I'm more of a long-term investor. So let me actually sort this based on investor grade. So basically, I'm looking for a project that has good fundamentals, good investor grade, plus is also in a bullish trend. And the list we have here, some products we've basically covered in the past. We got Anchor Network, Seller, Injective, Novos. So all these are on my watch list. We got Singularity and some others, right? But this is basically how you could go through and use this. Now, let's also add an extra filter. So you could add a filter for FDV. I'm going to add a filter for Sortino ratio. So basically, typically 1 or higher is good. 2 or higher is great. I'm going to say I only want to look at projects that have performed relatively well relative to the risk. So now look at that, right? So I've basically just done the same process I typically have been doing manually, but notice this, all these top 4 projects based on this filter are projects that we've already covered before in the past, right? And we also hold, right? So one way to kind of really give you everything you need directly on the screen, definitely tell us what you think. In the future, we plan to also be able to give you the ability to save this and share this with other people. So think of this as kind of basically creating your own lists and sharing your saved lists or filters with other people. So tell us what you think down below in the comments. All right, so that's the customizable rating page. Let me just check in with the chat and see how we're doing. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, tell a friend to tell a friend. Not being in crypto is a financial crime. Yes, regulators are coming for crypto, it seems, right? Basically, Operation Choke Point. But guess what? We're still here. We're not going anywhere. Whether the SEC or Yellen or whatever is trying to bring us down, we're here forever. Crypto forever. That's the new theme. Okay, all right. So next thing I want to go to is Arbitrum Airdrop, the $1 billion airdrop. I mean, boy, a lot of money was made. A lot of money was made.
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
Now, unfortunately, I was not part of the airdrop. I did not really do any of the Arbitrum airdrop mining. But to anybody out there who did, congratulations. But just to kind of go through the details, and this is a dashboard from Dune by Blockworks Research, a pretty good dashboard, probably the best I've seen so far on Arbitrum's airdrop. But basically, Arbitrum has $10 billion total supply, and 1.2 billion, basically almost 13%, was airdropped, right? And the value of that airdrop is almost $2 billion, right? So basically, we had $1.74 billion airdropped to people who were participating in the Arbitrum ecosystem by using their L2, right? So the current price based on this is $1.36, right within the range I predicted on the customer webinar to our premium customers, and also the Astrobot holders. And the FTV of Arbitrum textbook is 13.65 billion, right? So when you understand tokenomics, you can actually go through, do paper napkin math, and project exactly where this is going to be. And then based on that analysis, know whether or not it's overvalued or undervalued. For those of you who were not customers, basically the analysis I said was, actually, I'll go through that, but let me finish this dashboard here real quick. The main thing I want to look at here is, so over 80% of tokens have been claimed. And then let me scroll down here. So if we go to revenue, where's just revenue? Looks like some of these things are not loading. Okay, actually, let me go to a different tab, right? But let's first look at L2s, because to kind of understand how this would have played out, let's kind of go back and rewind the tape. So Arbitrum, for the whole L2 market, you got Arbitrum, you got Polygon, you got Optimism, Immutable X, Loopring. So right now, all this is being sorted based on their FTV. I prefer to look at FTV as a metric because it gives you the actual value as opposed to market cap. Market cap basically gives you lots of Ponzi-nomics, right? Lots of low float projects can kind of, it's not the best analysis. It's decent, but for me, FTV gives you the true long-term value of a project, so you can see if it's really overvalued. And if we go to DeFi Llama and look at their chains for EVMs, we noticed that the TVL for Arbitrum was basically 2 billion TVL versus Polygon's 1 billion versus Optimism's almost 1 billion, right? So Polygon and Optimism pretty much have the same TVL, total value locked, total amount of capital on chain. But Arbitrum, with no token yet, with the pending airdrop early in the week, had 2 times the TVL. So that told me, okay, in theory, if we just use TVL as a metric, even if it's not the best metric to use, but to keep things simple, if we use this as a metric to kind of assess the value of all these 3 chains, Arbitrum technically, in theory, should have a higher FDV than Polygon and Optimism. So that was the first kind of thesis. And then we go down here, we got Avalanche, Phantom. So basically, Arbitrum, upon launch, should have a higher FDV than Polygon and Arbitrum. And then looking at the number of protocols building on chain, you have 250 basically on Arbitrum, almost 400 on Polygon, and about 100 on Optimism. So either way, Arbitrum should have a higher valuation than both Polygon and Optimism. And if we come down here or back here to CoinGecko, looking at the FDVs of all these different projects, we've got Arbitrum. Imagine Arbitrum hadn't launched yet, right? So the target was Arbitrum to have an FTV higher than Polygon and Optimism, because that's the long-term value. If you looked at market cap, you would basically miss that. Then we had the tokenomics for the project, and we had 10 billion total token supply, with about 12.75% of tokens being liquid in the airdrop. And just kind of doing the paper napkin math would give you the target market cap and target FTV. All right, so kind of going through all that, and basically the target I shared on the webinar was basically about 14 billion FTV, and it's basically been right about that, right? Why this matters is if let me actually pull up TradingView real quick. Give me 1 second here. All right, so we're going to TradingView, and we're going to pull up the chart for Arbitrum. So let's use Coinbase. Let me switch to the hourly. Actually, I think maybe Binance was better or had a faster listing. Actually, yeah, I guess we don't really have enough data on here on trading. Actually, let me just go back. Here, let's just do this like this. All right, so Max. So anybody, I mean, apologies if you bought it all the way here. Now, my understanding is there wasn't too much liquidity here. I think it was only like 80 to 100K, but technically nobody should have been buying Arbitrum at those levels. Just looking at the tokenomics and just going through the logic, there was no reason to even touch it at that price point. People were taking profits. And in my opinion, there was no reason to even touch it at $1.50 my range was basically anything above $1.50, it was overvalued. Anything under 30 cents, it is severely undervalued. So for me, well, with our fund, under 30 cents Arbitrum, way undervalued, in my opinion. Not financial advice, right? But to kind of now compare the two, if we go and look at Arbitrum versus Optimism, because those are kind of the two big competitors, look at the big difference in terms of activity. Optimism has about 42,000 active wallets. Arbitrum has over 600,000 active wallets, right? Now, maybe not the best metric to use, but just to kind of show you the big difference. Now, obviously, Optimism already had their airdrops, so maybe people kind of airdropped and left. But looking at this, obviously with Arbitrum, there's a lot more activity early on because people want to get the airdrop. But the next chart I want to look at, this is Dune as well, is L2 revenue by comparison, right? So revenue between Arbitrum and Optimism has basically kind of been slightly in favor of Arbitrum. Like here in June 2022, you had this big revenue day. And then now with liquidity, with capital flowing into the Arbitrum ecosystem, due to the airdrop, you have a lot more activity and a lot more revenue, right? And I believe this is priced in Ethereum. So as of this month, Arbitrum has had almost 1,200 in revenue in terms of ETH versus Optimism's about 200. So 6 times more revenue, according to this. Now, in the last 90 days, Arbitrum has been averaging about 660 ETH in revenue versus Optimism's 250. So basically, it's been almost double. But now that the token has launched, you're going to have a lot more revenue and activity happening on chain. So very bullish on Arbitrum long term. But getting in right now, that's the part you have to kind of navigate. And this is where I think having good data, good analytics, good AI, and good research helps. But yeah, I mean, Arbitrum, I'm very bullish on this for the long term. In terms of how I would trade this, so the main thing is to see, so basically in terms of token supplies, you have about, I think 43% of the supply of tokens going to the treasury. I'm not sure what the vesting schedule is on that, but I said worst case, if that happens, you can anticipate about 55% of the token supply being liquid. And that's where the price said, the target price for me was $1.50 if that happens. But that has not happened so far in terms of circulating. Let me actually go here. If I go to our Arbitrum, right? So our platform, we don't really cover newly launched projects. We basically wait until there's enough price action, typically about 100 days before we can give it a long-term investor grade and trader grade. But you can still track it for now and put it in your watch list. But basically, if with 10 billion supply and the current price, you can go through and do the actual tokenomics. And the main thing I wanted to kind of share is to watch the categories, right? So right now, I still think it's slightly overvalued, but in my opinion, if it comes back down to under 30 cents, I think despite the low tokenomics, you can start to trade it, to swing trade it, and then potentially accumulate for the long term. But stay tuned. We'll definitely keep you updated here at Tokenmetrics. That's what we do. Okay, let me check the chat here. What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. Pavel says, hello there. Missed the Arbitrum airdrop. Hope for the next one. Yes, it's time for a good segue to the next big airdrop, right? So what's the next $1 billion airdrop? What's the next big money maker? So what was announced today is actually this project that's been on our radar for a while. It's a pretty big project. You probably heard of it. Called zkSync, right? So putting up my screen here. So this zkSync era is upon us, right? This is the first zk EVM to go live. Today they just put this out. This is from the block, right? So it's basically a layer 2 project that is using zk rollups as an Ethereum virtual machine, as an Ethereum EVM. And guess what? If you read this article, they're basically hinting, wink, wink, all right, that a token is coming. But they also give you a time frame. If you go down here, will there be a token? They're basically telling us, without telling us indirectly, that yes, they plan to decentralize within a year. Right. So this was actually pretty bold. Right. Typically, projects kind of don't really even answer the question, but they basically said we plan to decentralize within 1 year. So basically, in 1 year there'll be a token, kind of like Arbitrum, but it is pretty far away for crypto because a year in crypto is like 10 years. But I think now is the time to really consider looking into this project. And even with us, because we've been incubating AstroDAO, our own DeFi protocol, basically an index marketplace, and we plan to now possibly even add AstroDAO on L2s, because that is in the future roadmap. We're planning to add it on Arbitrum and Optimism and Polygon. But now with zkSync launching, if they launch and it's on mainnet, we'll also add that as an option. So definitely keep an eye on this. This is the website. If you go to, let me just pull this up here. zkSync.io. That's the website. Basically, it's the future-proof zk EVM. And now I'm not really a developer. We have a team for that. But my understanding is zk rollups are way superior to optimistic rollups. Optimistic rollups were faster to market because it was tougher to build and develop zk rollups. But zk rollups are superior. But definitely keep an eye on this. I think this is the next big billion-dollar airdrop. Then you have some other projects out there to also keep an eye on. You have Scroll, zk EVM. Let me just put this up here real quick. This is also a competitor. They just had a huge fundraising round. All of these have basically raised capital at over $1 billion valuation, right? So Scroll is one other one to keep an eye on. I think they announced their testnet. So all these basically are doing incentivized testnets. If you go use their testnet, play around with it, they basically would give you an airdrop in the future. And then once they launch on mainnet, then you can actually use the protocol. But like with Arbitrum, one of the reasons you had lots of people using it, you had actual applications on there, such as GMX and others. So there was a reason to use them, right? But for me, I don't really trade or do degen stuff. Maybe some stuff, but in terms of trading and derivatives, it's not really my forte. But for those of you who do that, if there's a dApp on that chain that's using it, that's a great way to do it, right? So I guess one way for us to get exposure to all these different projects in the road is to kind of, with the projects we're incubating, right? With AstroDAO, for example, if we're actually using it on zk VM or zkSync or even Arbitrum. Arbitrum's airdrop's already gone, but let's say we add Scroll and others. That could be one way to maybe kind of earn the airdrop in a way. But these are two projects to keep an eye on. You have Polygon. They're doing their own zk EVM. I believe it was called Hermes. That's also launching on March 27th, I believe. But Polygon already has a token, so not much of an airdrop there. Okay, all right, but these are the projects I'll be looking for and keeping an eye on. Now, there's also a dashboard here. Let me actually pull this up if I can find it. On Dune, called zk. I haven't really gone through it, but it looks like there's already some activity today. So I mean, it's pretty active. So I would definitely keep an eye on this. And looking at this, unique users over time has crossed over 500,000, which is actually pretty interesting. Do they have active wallets? And we have over 800 million deposited on zkSync. So I mean, there's a lot of activity. It's a VC darling. There's a lot of capital on this. So people are already anticipating this being the airdrop. But I just think with them kind of announcing the airdrop's going to happen in a year, activity might dwindle and die down for a bit, and people kind of come back. But maybe they kind of gamify it and have some kind of a requirement to earn their airdrop by actively using their protocol over time, not just kind of coming in at the last minute with a buzzer beater trying to get the airdrop. But definitely worth keeping an eye on this project as well. All right, so let me check the chat and see how we're doing. Deliana says, thanks for Matic. Yeah, Matic did well, still doing well, over 400x return. Now we're looking for the next Matic. Havoc says the ratings page is fire. I'm glad you like it. Definitely check it out. Tell us what you think. Let me actually pull it up again here. Yeah, so I mean, I like it as well. You can come here and customize this. And one thing I forgot to actually share is we also have categories, right? So let's say you want to find out where's the alpha in the Arbitrum ecosystem, right? You can now just search. We've improved the search. So just come here, put Arbitrum ecosystem, and it will show you all the tokens our platform is bullish on. So the only one in the Arbitrum ecosystem that meets my filters that I have here is Seller Network. Let me actually reset the filter. So now you can go do a deep dive in different categories, right? So let's go back to Arbitrum. Yeah, so all this is Arbitrum. Now, if we're looking at trading, what's in the Arbitrum ecosystem based on trader grade, these would be the top projects right now. So we've got Wrapped Bitcoin, obviously BTC, Radiant, which is a lending protocol, Joe, which is trading. We got Pendle, Rocket Pool. Yeah, so this is a nice watch list to kind of go through and do a deeper dive on. Then the same can be done with investor grade. So what is good to invest in long term that's currently in the Arbitrum ecosystem? So we've got Cell Network, Cartesi, Loopring, and LDL. Yeah, all projects on our watch list, and LivePeer actually. So I think to me this is probably one of my favorite new features we've added to Token Metrics, because now everything's directly on the ratings page. Okay, all right. So let me just kind of see what we have next. Okay, so we're going to cover the top 5 tokens for trading for the week. So I'm going to do. Let me go back to all categories. And if we're trading, I'm going to say I only want to look at projects with a 75% grade or higher for trader grade. And then I want a bullish signal for trading. Don't want to trade anything bearish right now. And I want something that's liquid. So I want to say 10 million trading volume or higher. All right, so, and I don't want anything that is not worth the risk. So I'm going to put in Satina ratio. Actually, let's see if I can find one with 2 or higher. That might be tough, but let's see if there's any alpha in that signal. All right, so this is the list. Not financial advice. But let's see how. Yeah, so this is actually pretty quick. So we've got Trader Joe, we've got Edgecoin, we got Stacks, which we're actually in a trade on Stacks right now. It's a way to get exposure to BTC without having to invest in BTC, because it basically moves. It's highly correlated with Bitcoin, because it's a layer 2 on Bitcoin, but it's more undervalued with more upside. Okay, so now let's go through all these projects and kind of see what's up. Okay, so we've got Trader Joe. Our signal turned bullish on the 18th. It's up almost 100% in the last 2 weeks already. Actually, not sure why Satina ratio here is different than what we have on the ratings page. So we're going to have to actually talk with our team on that and see what's going on. But if we are going to trade this, I would actually look at the levels here and see what's going on. Okay, hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, it's currently at at 41 cents, almost 42 cents. Next levels I'm seeing is we've got 80 cents. Actually, if we go and let's look at on-chain data, because I think it's on Arbitrum. So I think that's why it's kind of trending. And if we go to Dexis, actually, let me just go back here real quick. Dexis Arbitrum. Yeah, so it's the 10th DEX on Arbitrum. So TVL is 16 million, very, very low. Although it's one of the main DEXs on Avalanche, it hasn't really penetrated the Arbitrum ecosystem. You got Uniswap and Sushi basically taking all the capital. So the question is, how undervalued is it? But I think if you want to tap into the Arbitrum ecosystem trend, it might be worth looking into it as a trade. But for me, I have to double check why the Sortino ratio is different on here versus the actual rating page. That is something that's concerning. Let me actually just send this to our team to look into. Just give me 1 minute here, everybody. Give me 1 second. Hold on, sorry, just give me 1 second here. Because if we go back here, so that one, I'm gonna have to look further into it. So then we've got Edgecoin. So even this, I haven't really. Is this liquid? Yeah, actually, let me first look at this before I start talking about it. Because sometimes you get lots of products that just kind of pump out of nowhere that aren't so good. Yeah, I've not heard of this project. I think actually maybe somebody had talked about it before. Yeah, yeah, it's not really on any decent exchanges. So actually here, let's add some kind of quality control here. So we're gonna filter out for, I only want projects on Binance, Coinbase, Gate, Gemini, Kraken, and KuCoin. Let's do that. That should filter out some riskier projects. Okay, so we've only got Trader Joe and Gala. Okay, so yeah, because most people don't really have access to those exchanges, and I don't want to look into those. But Stacks is one that we've been covering a lot. It's at $1.05, turned bullish January 13th. It's had a decent month, about 60%. But the reason why I've been kind of keeping tabs on this, very high alpha on this trading signal. And if we go to correlation, it is highly, highly correlated with Bitcoin, and surprisingly also with Ethereum, right? So basically, it's an altcoin that moves with Bitcoin and ETH that is relatively decent, that I think has, at least right now, is a good trade, especially with Bitcoin ordinal NFTs and what's been happening with that narrative. This has had a pretty decent month. So that's one. Then we got Radiant Capital, which is actually lending on Arbitrum. So if we go back to DeFi Llama, let me go back. Where's lending? Yeah, let's go to lending. And let's look at the Arbitrum ecosystem. Oh, wow. So the TVL has gone up a lot. Okay, yeah. So it's basically the #1 lending protocol on Arbitrum. So it has more liquidity than Aave. But Aave has also moved up a lot. Yeah, so I think that could be worth a trade. Long-term holding it, I'm not so sure. Tokenomics are not the best, but as a trade, I think worth looking at this. Just kind of based on the signal here. And this one, Gate, OKX, and KuCoin. All right, so that's one other one. Then we've got Gala with a decent investor grade. Just turned bullish here on the 18th. Okay, this alpha in this signal, it's on Coinbase, OKX. So to me, basically all this is a watch list I'm creating. Then I would go and do even more research. I would look at the community on Twitter, see what people are saying, if there's anything happening, any fundamental catalysts happening, right? So for example, all these Arbitrum ecosystem projects are trending because there's been over $1 billion of capital, almost $2 billion of capital being infused into the Arbitrum ecosystem. So people are taking profits, either going to ETH, stable coins, or even putting it into new altcoins directly on the ecosystem. So that kind of makes sense why these projects could have a huge week. Then Gala is more of a gaming project, I believe, metaverse. Yeah, gaming. But even them, the tokenomics are not the best. But all these are basically just short-term trades. I'm not sure if there's anything happening with this in terms of fundamental catalysts, but something says this is worth looking into. Although the grade preferably should be over 80%, but out of the list we've had, this is worth looking at. I see it's trending upwards, so wouldn't be surprised next week if it goes over 80% because it's already up almost 5%. Then Arbitrum, that we already covered. So that's really the list of projects I'll be watching for next week to trade based on these filters, right? Based on being on a well-known exchange that's reputable, based on trading signal that's bullish, based on having a trading rate over 75%, and based on having a decent Sortino ratio that has some alpha. So that's what I would do. Not financial advice. Okay, so let's check in here with the chat and see how we're doing. Let's see here. Cryptology says, I use tokenomics every day. That's what's up. Still, DCF says, still think Harmony could go to a new all-time high with all these L2s being released. It's tough. It is becoming very, very crowded. It's high risk, high reward, but I think you got to have an L2 in your portfolio at this point, right? We already have Polygon, but I think it probably makes sense to diversify. And the ones I'll be looking at is Arbitrum, but you have to buy it when it's undervalued. So for me, it might be tough, but I think 30 cents, if not $1.50, but that's if more tokens hit the market, if the DAO or Treasury tokens hit the market. But right now, you just got to be patient, wait and see. Broken Noodle says, hi, Ian, Astrobots. Yeah, Astrobots in the house.
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
Zero Tech Mind says, is it too late to be eligible for zkSync possible airdrop? I don't believe so. They haven't launched yet, and they said they plan to decentralized in 1 year. So I think we have time. We got time. All right, thank you, everybody. Yes, yeah, health is wealth. I've been on a health journey. Let's see here. Yeah, I already answered questions on Arbitrum. I like the data you can use to customize the ratings page. Yeah, that's my favorite part because now whatever data points you like, you can add, right? So to kind of go through this again, these are the data points that are now available. And so I only showed what I had, but you can add, so we have trader grades, you can add all these subgrades. You can add investor grades. You can add even technology grade. So let's say you want to make sure you're investing in solid tech, you could add that as a data point directly. Let me actually add this here. All right, you can add fundamental grade, even valuation grade. You can add the indicators like price prediction. You can add other quant metrics. So we got the max drawdown, right? So let's say you want to target projects that are 95% or higher down from their max drawdown, right? This you want to go dumpster diving for projects that have crashed, that are about to pivot and reverse and bounce back, right? You can customize that as you like. So one of my new favorite parts added to the site, and we plan to add even more data points as we add them directly on the platform. Kifa says, how can you not be a trader, Ian, with all the great alpha on tokenomics? Well, I like to be more of a long-term visionary in a way. trading is not, because trading, getting in and out, day trading, swing trading maybe. We do some trading on tokenmetrics on the fund side, TM Ventures, but in terms of actually sitting there and trading daily, it's not really my thing. All right, I like kind of finding something that's undervalued, more like venture. I view myself more as a VC. All right, so finding Helium, Matic, and others early on, and then kind of accumulating and waiting for the market to realize how wrong it is. Right, so the trades I would be making are more so like swing trades. So let's take like Cantor, for example. Right, Cantor was undervalued. You get in, and you get in when it's a quarter of the FDV of Evmos, right? With almost 10 times the TVL, right? That's just screams undervalued. Then you wait for the market to reprice it and catch up to its mistake, which could take what, 4 to 6 months, and then you take profits and get out once it's overvalued. So in a way, it's kind of investing, but you're getting in and getting out based on it being undervalued and overvalued. Can you get in CAGR, compounded annual growth rate? Yes, that's a data point available on the ratings page now. Right, so that would be under quant metrics, right here. Right. I think you needed to get into Joe's sub 20 cents. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Bitcoin ordinals are creating some movement. Bitcoin has been doing well, right? So we didn't even really cover BTC and ETH, but they had turned bullish. So I mean, with everything that's happening with the news, right? So actually, I haven't really covered too much of like the news that's happening, but it has been a wild ride. But let's go to Trader Grade, right? So Trader Grade is bullish on Bitcoin. And basically, it turned bullish on March 15th at 24K. We're now at about 28K. So I mean, I know Zuda Bilaji, basically Coinbase CTO, has a bet of Bitcoin going to 1 million in less than 90 days. I mean, that's very, very optimistic. I don't think it's going to happen, but he is screaming a lot in terms of what's happening. But let's take a step back. All right, what is happening with banks and the Fed and regulators? I think they've come to realize that people are catching on that hyperinflation, or inflation in general, is about to rip through and go through the roof. And they're trying to, via Operation Choke Point, trying to cut off people's exits to other asset classes, to like crypto assets, digital assets, because they want to keep you inside the dollar ecosystem, inside the fiat ecosystem, where they're just printing money via QE, quantitative easing. So what happens next? The top 3 crypto banks have been closed: Silvergate, Signature, Silicon Valley Bank. And now they're coming after all these crypto people, right? They issued a Wells memo notice to Coinbase. They basically arrested Do Kwon in Serbia with fake passports. Then they're suing Justin Sun, right? They gave a subpoena to SushiSwap, right? So they're coming after everybody, all in like a week. So this is one, I mean, basically all this has happened in a month. This is a coordinated attempt by the Biden administration to hamper down crypto, because they see that cash is going down and they want to keep and lock you up in this jail of fiat and not have you build wealth for the long term, right? So what happens? I mean, honestly, it's tough, because historically speaking, right, governments, central banks, but I'll say governments in general, have, when they're going through hyperinflation, they have banned gold, right? It happened here in the US, right? A first world country, they banned basically people using gold or redeeming gold, right? So what scares me the most is, what if they do the same with crypto, right? What if it goes that off the rails, where they're printing money through the roof and they ban anybody from using crypto? Because if they're already going through this right now, what's next, right? So I think the only way really around it, you kind of have 2 options. One, Americans, we have to vote. We have to be basically one issue voters, right? For me, next election, that's what I'm doing. If you're not pro crypto, out of here, right? That's the only way I think politicians will get the message, is we have to show them that if you're not pro crypto, which is the future, you're out of here, right? which could be tough because let's say maybe it's something where it's like, I don't know, not to get super conspiracy theory on you, but maybe it's like the CIA or the Illuminati is saying, no, don't let crypto take off because maybe, who knows, CCP or China or whatever is involved, and they're going to use it to make China, to make the yuan the reserve currency. Who knows, right? Maybe it's kind of that deep where like you have the higher ups really enforcing all this in a get-go because they're about to issue their own central bank coin, right? Their own CBDC in the US. So who knows, right? Maybe it's kind of that level where it's like a war of countries, right? China, Russia, and the US, right? I know Russia just announced that they'll start paying China, I think, for oil and other stuff in yuan, right? So maybe it's kind of that level where it's like a G6, G7 type thing where countries are fighting over what's going to become the next reserve currency for the future. I know Ray Dalio has a book that's on my to-read list called, I think, The New World Order. I mean, so where empires crash and crumble. So is this what's happening? Is the US on the brink of collapsing? If it happens, I mean, it's going to be based on inflation and currency. So I doubt they'll go down without a fight. All right, nobody in power just hands over their power just like that, right? It's a cutthroat world we live in, right? So that's what scares me the most, right? But I guess the way I would be viewing it is have backups on backups on backups, right? Have backup. Don't put all your money in fiat bank accounts. Like with me, I've had to go out and open like a bunch of different backup bank accounts, right? Because actually, I was debanked, like last month? Well, both personally and also business-wise, right? Basically saying, oh, crypto, high-risk client, whatever. So if regulators are already trying to debank crypto, it's tough. So then with stablecoins, we've been playing stablecoin whack-a-mole, right? With BUSD, USDC, UST. So even stablecoins is tough. But just gotta manage risk and live to survive. But even though 75% of capital, venture capital, in the crypto space is in the US, I feel like innovation is being pushed overseas. You have all these developers, all this talent going overseas, and crypto is becoming global, although capital is still mainly here in the US. So I just hope politicians can get their act together. If not, we got to get them out of office, maybe form a crypto lobby and get a crypto president. Now I wonder who that would be, but maybe that would get them to pay attention. But I know SPF tried to do that, but he was not the best person to represent us in the space. But yeah, I mean, that's my take on what's happening. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to wrap up because I do have to hop back to work. But I highly encourage you go and leverage the coupon code we have here. All right, Spring30, SPRING30, to get 30% off discount on all Token Metrics plans. All right, so definitely encourage you to go try it out. Try out the new customizable ratings page and tell us what you think. With that being said, thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend. And as we like to say,
we just landed on the moon.
The moon is not the limit to the moon and beyond. Thank you.